All right, what's up, Tycoon? Super excited for today's video. We're going to take a look at the financial sector, okay, and take a look at a couple stocks included, in that sector, right? We have, Visa and PayPal as two stocks we're going to take a look at, right, along with XLF. We're starting off here on the weekly chart, okay, for Visa, and there's some things that are kind of scaring me for the financials and, financial related stocks such as Visa and PayPal, all right? So we're looking at Visa here on the weekly chart, okay? And we've really been consolidating in this range here from about 192 up to 214, okay? That's kind of like our range that we were trading in before we hit the all-time highs. Now, to me, this kind of just looks like a massive possible head and shoulders, right? With your head up here, we got a left shoulder over here on our left side of this channel, okay? And then our right shoulder here on the right side of this channel. If we're either about to go on a very nice breakout, okay, potentially come up to like 230, 240 on Visa, okay. But otherwise, things, I'm just seeing this big picture here, right? Like we came here, we bounced off of the 200 moving average, right? Which this is a common area for stocks to bounce. And we've had some very nice bullish divergence, okay, which has given us a very nice rally. Now, what bullish divergence is we're going to highlight it real quick, okay, is going to be this red trend line here. As you can see, it's red, it's going down, okay. If we look at our relative strength index, okay, the RSI right here, it's actually going up. It's in an uptrend, all right. So that's a divergence between the actual price of the stock and the RSI, the relative strength. Okay. So when you're seeing those occur, those are good entry points and signals that you may be able to ride the momentum off the divergence, right? Bullish divergence would include, a bullish rally, right? And once we made that low here, right, this is our lowest low of the bearish divergence, right? This is our lowest low. Here's our original low here, okay? And then we look on our RSI, here's our low. And then once we came and made this lowest low, we made a much higher low at 39, close to 40, right? And that could have been your signal to start, getting a bullish position on this. But the thing that scares me, okay, is we do have some strong strength in from buyers on the weekly chart here. Okay. We broke two support levels and then quickly rallied and came up above them, but it still closed red on the week. And we closed right at that major resistance level here at 214.79. Okay. We're struggling to break past that. Now, if the market continues to rally over the next coming weeks, as it's continued to do, which, go ahead and watch my VIX video, which is the volatility index. I kind of do those to give market updates on the overall sentiment, right? If it's looking bearish or bullish. All right. But that's what I'm looking at right now. All right. So, there's been a nice bullish momentum, right? Nice bullish rally, okay, from 185 up to 215, but that was largely in part due to the bullish divergence. Okay, so what I'm worried of is that we have a much larger, okay, head and shoulders here that I was speaking of. And if we really don't start to trade above here and make some more highs, okay, because right now we're just continuing to make lower highs, right? We have a high, lower high, lower high, lower high. We really need to come back in and make some higher highs along here, really come back up above 230 and come up to like 240. That's going to be a good sign to me. Otherwise, I'm worried that if we don't just chop and consolidate in here over the next few months, right? Because it's done that for about 8 months already. It's just been chopping and chopping and chopping in this period, from last October through, it's about to be August now. All right. So we're going to dive into XLF next, all right, which is the financial sector specifically on the S&P 500. We're looking at our weekly chart, and there's some things that are scaring me here. Okay, what's scaring me is that we're at our 200 SMA on the weekly chart. Okay, now this is historically a good buying time, right? And that's what you're saying a lot of people doing is they came in and they bought the dip. There's been a nice rally. Okay, the resistance levels that I'm watching is 34.83, 36.14, and 37.45. I think that we have the potential, right, to rally back up to these levels or through these levels and above them, is going to be really impressive, right? That's going to change my overall sentiment. But if we come up and get resistance at these levels and drop back down, I'm thinking, we could drop all the way down to like 25 on the XLF. All right. Now, we're going to go over why here in a second. All right, so it's gaps. Okay, gaps are what I'm really worried about. This large gap down to 25.33 on the weekly chart for XLF. Okay, we have this previous gap here. This is just in reference to show you guys that these gaps do fill 90 to 95% of the time historically in the stock market. It's just a matter of when, right? If we look back in February a couple years ago, okay, we gapped down the next the next week. We created this large gap up to $30. And the next towards the end of that next year, right? January of the next year, we ended up filling that gap. Okay. So it did take a while for that gap to fill, about 11 months, but they do fill, right? Here's one that filled a lot quicker. Okay. We can look in March. And then, it ended up filling that gap over in May, right? So it took about 2 months for that gap to fill. This gap, all right, is from November, and we really haven't seen it fill. It hasn't come down and tested these levels, right? The reason I'm worried is because we have bearish divergence. Okay, so I'm going to highlight that now with these trend lines. So if you look, we have a green uptrend. Okay, green uptrend trend line. Here's our low, and here's a higher low. So that's clearly in an uptrend, right? If we look here, here's our low at that same level, right? And then at this level up here, here's our low down here, right? That's bearish divergence, right? So we're seeing the RSI go down, get weaker. Okay, the relative strength is dropping as the price is actually increasing. So it's not 100% guaranteed, but what that is kind of like an indicator that we may see some future bearishness in the XLF sector, right? So you combine all these things. Well, there's bearish divergence on the weekly chart. Okay, it's not even oversold yet or anything like that. And we have the gap down to fill. All right. So I'm really going to see, if this market continues and we come up to some of these levels at 34.83, 36.14, 37.45. Those are potential areas where I'm going to be looking to, potentially go short and see what happens in the market. All right. Now, this is not financial advice. This is pretty much, just me looking it down, and just my assumption, my own personal opinion, right? That this stuff, a lot of people thought that the financial sector would be performing well with the rate hikes, but it really hasn't been, right? It's been dropping along with the rest of the market. We took a look at Visa earlier, which kind of looks like a massive head and shoulders. We're seeing some much more, again, macro bearish trends possible and possible patterns, right? Let's look at PayPal, and let's look at a stock that really has been feeling a lot of the pain in the financial sector. And this could be something that's, to come, right? We have this nice trading range right here where we're trading sideways, and we break below it, and we're just going so low, right? We just made 3-year lows of 67.58. The stock hasn't been that low in for I don't know how long it's been potentially like 4 or 5 years since it's been this price. We can see here that it was extremely oversold. It built some nice bullish divergence. Okay, so we'll go ahead and highlight that. All right, just so you guys can see and understand this stuff. What we're seeing here is a sharp drop in the price, right? So from here to here, okay, we're seeing a sharp drop, right, from 114 all the way down to 67, but we're seeing the relative strength increase, all right, and it's holding this trend line here, bouncing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, near that trend line there before we finally got the nice push. Okay, so that's what these indicators are, that people use, like myself and other experienced traders. You can use these to kind of like give yourself an opportunity for day trades or swing trades, right? And kind of understand some of the momentum. You're like, man, well, this thing's been on a bloodbath. It was just at 114, went all the way down to 67, and now it's back up at 90 almost. What's going on? Well, this will help you start to understand that, right? But the main reason I pulled up PayPal is just to show you guys, a stock can really, really bleed heavily, right? And what we've seen with a lot of the other stocks, okay, that we just looked at is, or Visa specifically, right, is we saw the left shoulder. Okay, then we saw the head up here, right? And we saw a right shoulder forming. Look what happened on PayPal. Okay, PayPal did something very similar, except it really didn't even get a chance to form the right shoulder. Okay, if we look here, it came to these support levels and just immediately dropped, right? So, what Visa is doing is it's consolidating and bouncing right on that right shoulder. But as soon as it breaks, it's gonna be a nasty drop on Visa. Okay, so we'll go ahead and look at Visa again so you guys can see what I mean. All right. Visa also, had that nice bullish divergence that we highlighted. But we're looking here and we're seeing that it's really just staying right in this range. And that's not what we want to see, right? We want to see it break to the upside, or if you're looking to get short, you want to see it break to the downside. Okay. So, if we get a break below 192.88, and that's when we start opening and closing below there and staying below there, then that's when I would look for this possible head and shoulder to play out. But for now, just watching and seeing what time will bring us. Okay. So thanks for watching. Don't normally do videos like this where I can just cover like a couple different sectors and kind of just break down some of my thought process and some of the stuff that I'm looking at. So if you guys like this video, let me know in the comments below. Let me know if you want to see some more setups and like kind of market sentiment things that I'm looking at. We're taking a look at the financial sector here. I think I'm going to do a video on the solar sector next. So stay tuned for that one. That one is a really good video. And we got some members in the Discord making some really nice profits off of some solar plays. All right. So if you want to join the Discord, link to join is in the description. Use code exactly like the channel name exactly trades, and you'll get a discount on your membership. Okay.